Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the third day and the second year of Black Girl Freedom Week. I'm Joanne N. Smith. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the founder and president of Girls for Gender Equity. Thank you for joining the conversation on mentoring Black girls and gender-expansive youth. And today we have the one and only, the living legend, the founder and CEO of National Care's Mentoring Movement, and one of the most influential Black women in journalism as editor-in-chief Emerita at Essence Magazine, Ms. Susan L. Taylor.
Oh, thank you so much, Joanne.
Welcome.
You don't know how honored I am to be here with you. I've been reading about you. I've met you. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, yes, I remember.
But I know so much about you and your work, and it's just exciting. I want to learn from you. I want a partnership with you. That's what I want our organizations to do. I think it's one of the most important things. You know, those of us who are working on the empowerment of our girls and our community have to collaborate more than we do, come out of the silos. So it's my honor to be with you tonight.
That means so much. That means so much coming from you. I do remember meeting you. I've always followed your work. I mean, come on, you live in legend. Always try to walk in your shoes. And definitely you are the culture. And I thank you for joining us this week. Welcome to Black Girl Freedom Week. Indeed. How's your week been going so far?
My week it's been much. We have a gala and we're doing it for the second time virtually. So that's, it's a challenge, but that's what we've taken on, challenges.
So, so tell us about what National Care's Mentoring Movement is.
You know, after Katrina devastated New Orleans, the home of the Essence Music Festival, I said to the Essence family, going back to New Orleans, we have to enter that city differently. We can't do what we've done there before. We really have to do so. We have to go deeper. And I remember being on a beach on the east coast of Africa and just asking Spirit, what is it that you want us to give to our community? And the answer was mentoring. We want you to enter the lives of young people, undergird them, encircle them with love, and try to move them forward. So that gave birth to Essence Cares, which today is the National Care's Mentoring Movement in 58 cities across the country.
Wow, that's amazing. And as you talk about the movement, I feel it. I feel your passion for it. What about it really resonates for you? What makes you feel like mentoring is what is needed?
I can see what my life would have been as a girl if there was intentional mentoring. Mm-hmm. But I'm one of the lucky ones. I grew up in a Harlem that was safe, that became chaotic when heroin just swept through our communities and just put out the lights in my friends' parents' eyes. And my friends were dispersed. Some of them had to go back south. And I saw a vibrant community that was relatively safe just become a place where you were afraid to even move by yourself when the lights were down, when it was evening. And, I just knew that with mentoring, some of the young people who I grew up with, I was one of the lucky ones who was in a family who could move. We moved and we left behind those, young people who were in single parent households and didn't have an opportunity. And I saw what happened to me when we moved to Queens, that there were mentors out there. There were people who undergirded us and showed us another way of being. And I want to ask for you, what have these years of running your program and mentoring young girls, what have you seen the outcomes be? The outcomes of the great work that you do, with girls, gender equity.
Yeah, well, what you were saying really resonates with me because I founded Girls for Gender Equity 20 years ago. I was 26. And it was because I wanted to create safer conditions for girls of color, Black girls in particular, to gather. Spaces where they could feel free and whole in their skin and body. I did a needs assessment in the community. And I did it because I was in case management at the time. And I was seeing that, Black girls were being forgotten. Oftentimes on cases, they were called collateral. The kids were called collateral because we couldn't bill for them as we were serving their parents. And to me, they were spirit, they were children, they're people, they're folks that I had to, of course, see and pay attention to. And I felt like Black girls in particular got the short end of the stick around programming, around space where they can just be their age appropriate self, where they could just be 7 and 9, not be future doctors or future lawyers, but just be met in their youth development stage where they are. And so I felt like these girls also, because, girls, when they reach adolescence, they start to internalize. I shouldn't say start to, they truly internalize so much about them and their body as it's changing. They're, less talkative, they're less active. They want to cover up more. And I felt like I wanted to keep that brazen Black girl's mind and creativity in abundance. And so, so many spaces silence Black girls' voices and expression, or suppress it. And I knew, like you said, what that did to me as a child. I was third born, I'm Haitian, a child is supposed to be seen and not heard. And so it made me question my intuition and internalize folks' perception of me. And when I heard, I wasn't always clear where I should turn. So that left me vulnerable to predators. And so, as a social worker, I was seeing firsthand that young people and Black girls in particular needed more space. And so Girls for Gender Equity was really created to interrupt the erasure and silence of Black girls' joy and abundant potential and righteous resistance. And I felt like that was my assignment, like to create these conditions.
It kind of mirrors what we do in what we call our wellness mentoring circles. They're single gender identified, or all the genders can come together if that's their choice. And what we're really trying to do is create a place where young people are free to speak. And when we listen before we try to inculcate anything in them, and they tell us that, nobody ever asks us how we feel.
Yeah.
Nobody ever asks us what we're thinking about, and that sometimes adults really feel that young people don't have any problem. Hey, we keep a roof over your head. We're paying your rent. You should be grateful for that. What challenges do you have? But I'll tell you something, Joanne, right now, when I see what's happening with Black child suicide, the spike in Black child suicide, it's a national health crisis that has to be addressed. And, even when white children had the predominant, issues around suicide, it still wasn't a national issue. And now that it's really Black girls spiking, the rate of Black suicide among girls is higher than it is. The increase is 47% among our boys and 59% among our girls. So the question that we have to ask is, what is making our girls feel so hopeless, and our boys? What is making our children feel like they don't have a future that they want to live? And I think we have to tune our ears, we have to listen, we have to collaborate, and we have to let Black girls know how valuable they are. And I think that's the work that we as women have to do.
I agree. I mean, the work is intergenerational. And also, we see it happening. And so the fact that we're answering the call for it is so necessary. I think when you talk about Black girls suicide, it is near and dear, obviously, to my heart. I think that we have to also create conditions where Black girls can be in their well-being, in their mental health, a space where their mental health, it could be okay to not be okay. Their mental health is a priority. They can have a healing space, a space to talk through what they're going through, but also a space where, they don't have to perform toxic positivity and act as though everything's okay. We're in a global pandemic. So the fact that young people and Black girls in particular who, during this crisis have taken on the brunt, of first being essential workers in delivery and food and care, in home care and care for their siblings, and being honored in that way, but not really being honored in the ways that they need to economically, in the ways in creating conditions for them to thrive. We have to be able to say, it makes sense that PTSD is happening right now. It actually is more likely for that to happen and for depression to happen than not. It's kind of like when people go away to war. I'm always concerned if folks come back okay, because the natural impulse after you've seen so much and been through so much is to have for it to have an affect on you and for you to react to it. And I think that that's okay. What's not okay is that they don't have places to turn and people and community and systems to support them. So many systems police, the lives of Black girls. And so I'm thankful for the work that you're doing and the fact that you are lifting this up, because it's hard to talk about mental health and suicide rates.
We took young people to Capitol Hill. This was the end of 2019. And I called the politicians and I said, what are we doing? Taraji had gone, to Capitol Hill and was talking to legislators about it, but there was no activity around it, no funding for it, no inviting into schools, psychologists and social workers who could help. And so I called a few of the congressional leaders and they said, we've heard from everybody. We heard from a couple of celebrities. We've heard from, psychologists, social workers, teachers, but we've not heard from the children themselves. Mm-hmm. And so we gathered up a few of the young people from our programs around the country. We took them to Capitol Hill and they testified before members of the Congressional Black Caucus. And I'll tell you, I'll never forget what I heard. They said, we would tell you the truth. Look at us, look at our faces. See when we feel sad, notice us. Yes, if you would stop criticizing, and I think that's the main piece. Yes. If you would stop criticizing us, you could help us. If you would stop criticizing us, we would tell you what we're feeling and how we're feeling.
That's right.
And that's that's what we all need. Safe places where we can really express what we're feeling, even if we can't articulate it well enough, where people can help to draw it out of us. And we can, right. Yes, that's what I'm going through now. And sometimes we adults forget what it was like to be a teenager. We have young people as young as 5 years old taking their lives. This is, I want to say what's incredible about this moment of being shut down and closed in and losing the kind of social connectivity that is so critical for young people and all of us. At least we're giving voice to mental health in a way that this society never has before.
That's right.
And that's a good thing.
That's right. And even now, as we watch the Olympics, to have Olympians like Simone Biles and, Naomi name, and even Serena name that, mental health is impacting them and they need space and they need time. That was monumental and really set a precedence for being able to say, you know what, the stakes are high for all of us. And at times we do need to pause. And the pressure is beyond the performance. It's also real life happening. They were such role models in being able to do that and courageous in being able to do that. I think that, your work in bringing the young people to Capitol Hill, I would love to continue talking to you about even after this conversation, because we lead a national agenda for Black girls. And it's an agenda that really focuses on the policy and issue areas that impact Black girls. And the young people are the ones testifying and sitting in White House, Gender Policy Council meetings and telling the White House what it is that they need. And I think the more we can join forces and lift up the voices of young people and Black girls, femmes, gender nonconforming young folks in particular, the more power we will help them to yield, to be heard.
We're in a society that overprivileges males, and it happens in our homes. Very often parents, very often, not blaming anybody. That's just what's become the societal norm, that boys are seen as more precious very often than girls are, And there's so many things that we have learned as women that we really need to share with young girls. I want girls to have, more than anything, it's self-esteem. To know that your life really does matter, that it's not to be compared with anyone else's life, that each of us is a divine original, that we're more than we seem, that we're human and divine. That's who you are. And I think we all come out of the womb, I think, feisty and ready to move. And then very often the spontaneity, the authenticity that we're born with and grow to maybe be 2 years old with is then shut down.
It's true.
There's work that we have to do with parents as well, because so much of the ways in which we parent come out of our history, a history of oppression. So sometimes we can be much more harsh. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and say, if there's something that I wish I could do all over again, it's really to raise my daughter all over again with the
Mm-hmm.
wisdom that I have today. I want young girls to know that you're enough. I mean, we hear it all the time, but what does that really mean? You don't need to have a partner, a romantic relationship. You don't need to be adored. It's fine to be adored by somebody, but you have to know what love looks like. That's what I want Black girls to know. What love looks like and what it feels like. Because sometimes you hear, even not just only young girls, but women talk about a partner that's not a partner. You can hear it and say, that person's not loving you, but you don't want to interrupt their flow. And it's really important to know that the love that we're seeking is the love that is inside of us, self-love that needs to be released. And if there's something that we can really, I think, help our girls to understand is that you are your own best thing. You absolutely are. And when we start comparing ourselves in looks and what we have to others, that's when we're either diminished or we feel that we're more than. And neither is true. We are divine originals.
That's right. That's
Somebody
right.
else's love is the icing on the cake, but sometimes plain cake is okay.
It's definitely okay. I think, what you're talking about now and the way in which you mentor, I mean, I hear you, and that hit me in the heart thinking about, things I wish even I could do different 20 years ago when it came to working with Black girls. But I think, to know what you know now and to be who you are now, I think mentoring really offers a possibility model to Black girls and femmes who don't really see themselves in positions of power and decision-making positions. I'm a first-generation queer Haitian woman. And to me, that's extremely important to come with my full identity and share that with youth, because it means that they can see someone as a representative that may reflect them. And it helps young people to feel less alone, to see and hear that identity. So I would encourage you to, keep naming that oh, I wish I could have done things different, because I think young people see us in the different positions we're in, right? I'm in one position, you're in a whole other position, right? And it's oh, how do I get there from here? Or, what could I be doing different? And the reality is we're all really, as human beings, trying to figure it out. And learning. This is though every time we make it to one, plateau or reach one goal, it's wow, this is a learning curve. I have to figure this one out now. And I think if young people knew that, they could see themselves in this work and in this world as more valuable.
I try to share truth, because young people say we don't tell the truth. We paint this idyllic picture of ourselves. And I really do share with young people some of the mistakes that I made. And some of those things I was really very ashamed to even own. Early sexual experiences that I was ashamed to even think about, And I just see how it frees young people up when we come with our authentic self. And you coming from, as I do, a Caribbean family, it's not easy to be fully who you are. And you think about how much I know, so much more about my daughter and my granddaughter than my mother could ever take knowing about me.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to help young people know that we know we're not perfect. We know we have made mistakes, and here are some of them. And that every experience is a lesson in living, and it's valuable if we take the time to really think about it and not allow shame or, something that may have been punishing to rule our lives. That's what I love about life, that with every breath, we have an opportunity to begin again. And I want to see more women who are standing. None of us is standing strong every day, solidly. The earth is moving, but that's not life. It's a flow, and there's laughter, and there's tears, and there's joy, and there's sadness, and everything is in the mix. I want young people to know that the sad days aren't forever. The joyful times aren't forever. This too shall pass. We're not here forever, but we have enough breaths to make the most of our lives. And each of us is here on an assignment. What is that assignment? Know who you are. That's it. That's a lifetime. And it's morphing, right? Over time.
I love that you said that, because I was interviewing a young person, young activist, Michaela Gillian Price, brilliant young activist. And what she said to me was, that was 4 to 5 years of my life. That doesn't define my life. It's not where it started. It's not where it ends. And I don't have to have that identity moving forward. And there was something that just was like, what? Like somebody who's done this work for 20 years to hear, a young person, 20 years my junior, speak so liberated and able to own her whole self. It was that reciprocal, feeling of learning from young people and recognizing that, they have so much to teach and in so many ways help us to heal as well as we do this work and walk our journey and path. Are there some lessons that you've gotten from young people that you want to share?
Oh my gosh, so many. My granddaughter, who is graduating from Spelman, has really taught me. She's a women's studies major and just has brought me into a whole other world, a whole other world of not being judgmental, allowing each person to be her, his, their own self. That's right. Show up as you are, be kind. Just be kind to others and step back from judgment. Self-awareness is the most difficult thing, to be really aware of our behaviors, to own how our words may be wounding. I want us to be the guardians of not just our words, but our minds. Because with our minds, we create a world. And very often we may walk into the room and, Black women, Black girls want to be fabulous, most of us. Most of us do our thing. We're getting the hair done and we got the fly glasses and earrings and some, not all, but that's part of our culture. But that doesn't define who you are. Right. We have to have that feeling on the inside. But how is that built? It's built by what? Quiet time. I think quiet time is the most important time we can take. And that's really something that I have learned from young people. In our programmatic work, we have a program that has 32 weeks of curriculum. And it was stunning to hear young people south side of Chicago. In the school we're working in, 30 youngsters were shot, not inside the school, in one academic year, 30. Wow. And to hear young people say, what we enjoy more than anything? It's just when you help us to be silent. Because there's no silence anywhere in our lives. Something is always beeping, buzzing, ringing. There's music going on. People are shouting. We can hear sirens. Quiet. And that, I think, was very instructive to hear young people say, because I know that's what saved my life. Quiet time, taking quiet, reflective time to listen inwardly. That's something that I feel is so important to help young people navigate through and to demonstrate that we don't have to fill every moment with conversation. You can be quiet with yourself. You can be quiet with others.
I love that.
Listening.
Yes. There are definitely some practices during this pandemic and quarantine that I've taken up that I will keep with me, with the new normal.
What have you learned during this quarantine time? Some of the essential things.
Oh, so many things. I think I learned who my people are. I learned, and when I say who my people are, my family got closer. There are young people, so many young people in my family that I'd never before took so much time to Zoom with, to homework help with, to just, sing on FaceTime with, and be in the presence of. We have, of course, 5011 text chains going on with family. And then, of course, chosen family, just to know who shows up for you. And I don't, everybody's going through their own thing. I don't necessarily mean everybody needs to be there for everyone, but the consistent folks, I think it got clearer, who were the inner circle and then the rings that surround them, and to honor those relationships and love up on those folks in the way that I would, when I'm at work and when I'm traveling and when I'm at conferences, and I make the time. And so now I make the time. to do that. I've also, made the time for love. I found a partner and, made time for myself so that, I'm a recovering workaholic, I say. And so now I have, a dog and a cat and, just a fuller life where I just pause a little more and go to dinner. Or when I say go to dinner, we pretend that we're, somewhere. And we were in Miami not too long ago. It was the dining room, and kind of just activate your imagination around what you have, and instead of looking so much around and chasing so much, when what you have is really rich and abundant, or what I have, I feel really rich and abundant.
Be thankful for technology.
Yes.
But I need to master, I need to know a lot more about it. Thank God for young people in my life too.
As you listen, you have that granddaughter who's graduating, you have enough help. You don't have to master anything else. This technology is let me tell you, it's gonna keep changing. And as long as it gets you set up, you're good, because what you carry is more than enough.
I wear them out. Come help mama, and they do. It's really amazing. So this has been just a really different and beautiful time. And it's a time I want young women to know that not everybody is worthy of having a front row seat in your life. So I think that out of our loneliness, that's one of the things I learned as a woman. We make decisions that are made because we hunger for love, hunger for partnership, hunger for hugs, hunger to be adored. And sometimes we invite people in who should never even step over our threshold. And it really just comes back taking inventory of our own lives and other people before we just move those relationships forward. There's so much having to do with relationships that can get us in trouble, and it's not trouble that we can't extricate ourselves from, but making critical thinking is just so important. And we have such, brilliant young people who just need the space for their brilliance to expand and be rooted and to grow, and to know that that brilliance is seen and appreciated. We're creating a new world is on the way. A new world is on the way, and we have to build it. Our children have to be in leadership. We have to listen to young people, listen to what their thoughts are, listen to their feelings, and listen and take direction from them.
That's right.
I'm in the Army following the young folks. That's where I am today. Young people like you, Miss Joanne Smith.
We are a community now. We will continue this conversation. Mrs. Taylor, you are essential. You are beautiful. You are always on time. I thank you for joining us for Black Girl Freedom Week. I want to say, in addition to the work I do at GGE, I'm the co-founder of the Black Girl Freedom Fund, the 1 Billion for Black Girls campaign. And it's a 10-year philanthropic initiative that calls forward individuals, industries to invest in the brain trust, innovation, joy, vision of Black girls and their families. And we're investing 1 billion over the next 10 years. And so next on Black Girl Freedom Week, we're going to be joined by the one and only Salamisha Tillett. Yes. She is another co-founder, and Salamisha will lead us through a master class. I want to thank everybody for joining us during Black Girl Freedom Week. Happy Black Girl Freedom Week to the one and only Susan Taylor.
Thank you so much. And don't let me go, because I'm certainly tethered to you now.
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you, Miss Monique Morris. We love you.
We love you, Mo.